Hello, hello, hello. We are back. We took a quick brief sabbatical. All right, we had to go up to Washington D.C. and help the legal defense of one man by the name of Cole Allen. But now, me and my co-counsel, my assistant, my co-host, who I will let introduce himself, is joining me here today. Oh wait, I'm Aiden Navy. I forgot to say that part. My name is Aiden. I'm joined by.
This is Brandon Dyer. Aiden, fun little sabbatical that we had up there in Washington. Was actually able to catch that Congressional Baseball Game as well while we were up there.
Thank
So
you. It was
we have
it was
some
a great time.
inside info of what's going on up there in Washington and just around the country. And we're excited to tell you guys all about it.
Yeah. It's been a lot of elections going on, election season. Really, this has been. Now, see, I'm a young man. I haven't experienced much of anything, but this has been a great time for elections. I feel like even if there have been greater years for, I've voted 3 times already. It's only May. Like I'm voting at a clip that just is really not seen at any other time in my life, and I feel like it's not normal for anybody. Actually, I voted. This is my fourth time going to the polls. Sorry, I've got. There's an election right now. I'm going to vote early later today. It'll be my fourth time hitting the polling place the month of June. 4 times in 6 months is a crazy clip of voting to hit. But we're not going to talk about what I'm voting for today. We're going to talk about what other people have voted for. We're going to extrapolate. We're going to analyze the results from this Maine Senate primary where we saw a young man, a handsome man. I'll be honest with you, one of the more handsome men that I've seen run for Senate in a long time, Graham Platner. And well, first and foremost, he's a controversial man, but what was not controversial was his performance on Tuesday, getting 71.9% of the vote, defeating the incumbent governor of Maine, Janet Mills, only 19.3%, and some nobody that I have no idea who is named David Costello pulled in 8.3% himself. Brandon, do you want to talk about your thoughts on Graham Plattner, or do you want to give some scandals of Graham Plattner? What do you, or
Oh,
maybe just who he
so
is?
I actually want to start this one actually really talking about how much of a bizarre situation this was with Janet Mills up there in Maine because her campaign has been suspended since April.
Well, she's still on the ballot.
She's still able to be on the ballot of that one though. So
She's just
this was for sure just an outcome that me and you both I think could have seen coming with Graham Plattner winning that one.
I had a Kalshi bet on him getting over 75% of the vote, so it was a tough. I could have cashed out for $30. I bet five to, and I could have cashed out for 30, and I let it ride to try to win the full 50 that I would have had. Bad decision. Didn't end up working out for me. Fell 3% short. He's been Janet Mills. Her campaigning for the last, since she suspended it, it was April. You said so for the
Yeah.
last 2 months. She's done one thing to campaign, and it was Graham Plattner had a scandal come out. I forget which one it was. I think it was the accused of domestic violence by the woman who worked at the Heritage Foundation. I think it was
Gotcha.
that one. And she tweeted out, I've stopped actively campaigning, but I'm still on the ballot."
But
uh,
just in case you don't want to vote for that, I'm
yeah,
still there. I ain't got no money though.
I mean, she couldn't raise any money. She was going to be an 80-year-old by the time she hit the Senate. She would have been 86 at the end of her first term. I don't know who told her that she, was cut out for that. Cut out for that. Susan Collins. Well, Janet Mills versus Susan Collins general election where Susan Collins can't get on can't give a speech live because she shakes too bad. She's got I don't know if she's fine mentally, but her shakes are scary to look at. Janet Mills would have just been an 80-year-old. She refused to debate Graham Plattner too. Uh, Graham Plattner in their scheduled debates was just up there talking to himself. Had the empty podium debate, which I love the empty podium debate. I feel like if you are running for office and you have an opportunity to go out there and have a debate and the other person can't show, like, you need to be, if you're in a political campaign, look for like anniversary of your opponent, kids birthdays, look for anything you can get to schedule a debate for that night where he's going to be like, yeah, that night works. And then it comes up and he's like, oh, it's my kid's birthday. I can't do it. And you're debating the empty podium stage. It's one of the best looks you can have is talking about stuff and your opponent not showing up, not having the juice. Oh, I forgot forgot to mention the great Andrea LaFlamme in this in this election. She was a blue sky candidate. She ended up getting that huge blue sky support. Everyone you would see on Blue Sky, my favorite app in the world, would be like, guys, don't vote for Graham Platner. Vote for Andrea LaFlamme, who did not get on the ballot. She was a write-in candidate. Um, and she did get 1,000 votes, so shout out to her. I didn't give her flowers when I was going through the breakdown. Brandon, I talked so long that I forgot where I started, where I ended, and what I said in the middle. Get me back on track.
So we have Graham Platner going to winning that Democratic election up there in Maine, going to face off against Susan Collins, who one of the most incompetent returning Republican seats that's up for grabs here in November. And during his acceptance speech, because Graham Platner went out, gave a speech,
Great speech.
and
Wonderful.
he in there he said, I'm still far from perfect, but every day I wake up and I try to be a little bit better and a little bit kinder than I was the day before.
Hell yeah.
And if you give me the chance, I will be a senator for the people who cannot afford to buy a senator. That last line there, that's a tough line, Ayden.
Yeah, he's I don't know who's writing this. He's got the same campaign people working for him as the people that worked on the Mamdani campaign, and I think these people are some of the best in Democratic politics right now. They've been like 72% with the amount of scandals and the amount of just shit that the Platner campaign had to go through. The mainstream media was all over him on everything that he did. There was a question after he won the primary the other day. He was doing an MS Now interview, and they asked him how he was going to vote for the Epstein files if he had been accused of domestic violence. And it's just like, this is a candidate that is so anti-establishment and so like he's been running on a very anti-Israel, anti-billionaire campaign platform. That's been his two big things. I would say is we're gonna work to end wealth inequality and work for that anti-billionaire stuff and anti-Israel. We got to stop the genocide in the Middle East. And those are the two things that will get you attacked on every single front by the media. And he has weathered the storm in a very Mamdani-esque way. I think Graham Platner does share a lot of similarities with Zoran. And I think that the way that they just completely dominated this election, even through all of the storm, has been very impressive. And I would the Sabato crystal ball map, one of the most respected pollsters in electoral politics, released their prediction map for the Senate elections, and they had this race rated as a toss up in November, and I think that's insane. I think Platner is favored to win this one by 5 or 6 points right now. I just think Collins is in a lane of the Republican Party that I'm surprised she didn't get primaried. To be honest,
Well, she didn't have anybody running against her. She ran unopposed.
that's why I'm surprised nobody
Yeah.
ran against her. I'm surprised there wasn't like she has been one of Trump's. I wouldn't even say bigger crit. Like, well, she has been one of Trump's bigger critics in the Senate because they're all kind of yes men in there, and she's the only one who's like, guys, I'm really concerned about what's going on. I don't know if I can do this, but she does always do what he says in the end. So that probably saved her. It's just she's never actually voted against him. She's just always like, man, I'm thinking about it. But
The day's gonna come, Ayden.
no, it never will. Actually, it's been in there for the full time that Trump has been in there. I think she
pulling the G.R.R. Martin of politics.
George. It is very. She promised to only run for 2 terms back when she got elected in 1990. She was like, I'm going to be 2 term senator. I'm going to get out of there. She's now running for term number 6, I believe. So interesting. She's also apparently, allegedly, this is alleged, had an affair with John McCain in the mid 2000s in the Senate.
Oh,
I mean, that's what I've heard. I've heard that from a couple of sources. I have no proof for it, but now what I do have proof of is she did, when she was working as a congressional aide, she did have sex with her boss, who was the senator from Maine, whose wife was dying of cancer. That is a
Mm,
real thing that Susan Collins did in the 1970s or 80s.
mm.
She ended up marrying him after his wife died of cancer. So I guess all's fair if you get married at the end of it. Um, this this election in November, um, I'm looking forward to it. I think Platner, if they get on a debate stage, I think it's probably cooked from that day on. I can see Susan Collins getting up there and having a Biden level performance. She's up there shaking, no answers for anything. He's going to ask her why she keeps voting for Donald Trump in a state where Donald Trump's at like -20 popularity. And I think that's a tough question to answer. I don't see how Collins can really hang on
Well,
to it. Platner's
even
just an endless money raiser too. Sorry, what were you saying there?
even if they do schedule a debate, do you think it's best if Susan Collins just kind of like, nah, I'll stay home?
I don't know what the plan of winning is for Susan Collins. Like I don't see the path to victory for her exactly. She's the incumbent, I guess. If the president was popular, if the economy was good, if there wasn't a war with Iran, if gas prices weren't rocketing up, she would be in a good spot. Maybe it would be a lot easier. Like she still wouldn't be popular because this is a state that hasn't voted for a Republican statewide in 2 decades. They haven't voted for a Republican in a presidential election I think since 2004. So she already had an uphill battle to climb or an uphill battle to climb. That works. Um, and the Platner scandals, I think that people are thinking that it brings them downhill, but I don't really think people have cared that much about any of them since the OG Nazi tattoo.
See, now President Trump wasted a little time after the win to
Wasted.
go and make his thoughts known on Mr. Platner.
Oh yeah, he did give a tweet.
He tweeted out and he said he's worse than any human being that's ever run for office. I don't know him. I don't want to say bad, but I mean nobody's ever had a record like that. This guy's got a rap sheet. I've never seen anything like it. He's a thug. He's a low-level thug, and he's running to be a senator. I've what gets me is this wasn't something that was said out loud. This was something that was tweeted, and he stuttered in the middle of a tweet that he wrote.
Well, I'm saying Donald Trump trying to take a moral high ground on a candidate is going to be a tough one. Yeah, like that's not really where Donald Trump can fight from because the whole any person you've talked to that's like a Trump voter but doesn't want to own up to it, they're like, he's a piece of shit. I know he's a piece of shit, but he does what needs to be done. So I think that Donald Trump being like, oh, this guy's a terrible person. I don't think that might even help him with the Trump voters. You've had that conversation with 1,000 people. I mean, have you
I will
not?
say him trying to claim the moral high ground in this is almost exactly like Josh Brooks, the Georgia AD, claiming to have the moral high ground on the whole Brendan Sorsby situation,
Mm.
saying we're not going to play Texas Tech because of the gambling allegations.
Yeah,
Well, the gambling, they're not even allegations.
there's been a lot of people that are like, yeah, we're gonna cancel all of our games with Georgia with Texas Tech, and it's like, okay, how many? Who? Yeah, well, no, but we're not gonna stand for this.
If you play them in the playoffs, I promise you're not going to cancel that game.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, did you see? This is going to be an aside here. This was not on our scheduled thing, but I got to tell Brandon about this. Senate candidate Ken Paxton,
Oh, good guy from well, not good guy, but guy from
good
Texas.
guy. Yeah, guy out of Texas.
Yeah, I talked about him earlier on one of the shows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Senate candidate, in Texas. He is leading the charge for Brendan Sorsby and for Texas Tech, which I don't see being good for his margins. I think there's more Texas and more Texas A&M fans in the state. I think he's
yeah.
pissed off a lot more people than he's winning over with that battle.
Oh, dude, I think Texas Tech just well, Texas Tech has, I think, is just they have more oil money, I
They got
think,
they got a lot of money. He's
than Texas and Texas A&M do. I think that
I don't
Texas,
know.
well, I'd say more Texas A&M is a school for the people of Texas rather than Texas and Texas A&M are. Texas and Texas A&M are just almost kind of like business meetings.
Yeah, Texas. I mean, Texas is a good school. A&M is kind of a fake one. Texas Tech is just where oil kids go. I think that's my outside perspective on it, and I think that I mean his donors are probably all Texas Tech guys. If I think about it, he's probably got a lot of oil executives that are giving all their money to the school out there in Lubbock, and he's trying to do them a favor. But I think that in doing so, he might piss off some Texas A&M. They got fans out there in Baylor. Uh, who else are there any Houston? I mean, pissing off everybody everywhere else in doing so. And I
Probably
think
pissing off a bunch of SMU people.
that's it. Oh yeah, that's the other school. If you have oil money, but you're like, I don't know, what makes you go to Texas Tech and SMU? I wish I knew that. That would be a fun. I'm gonna dive into that. I'm gonna find out the answer to what separates a Texas Tech alumni and a SMU alumni. Both work in oil, but where's the fracture in those two? Maybe Texas Tech's like a more of a party. I'm gonna stop wondering about it out loud. Um, I think taking the position of I think this Brendan Sorsby thing is like a 95% of people think, yeah, he should probably be suspended. He gambled on himself. Um, and, and 5% of people are like, hey, let the boys play. And Ken Pax has taken the 5% supported position, which is interesting for someone to do in the middle of election. But he'll just post 3 more videos of James Tallarico as a transgender person, and that'll probably fix him in the polls. That seems to be his only strategy so far. I haven't seen Ken Paxton speak to anyone, get endorsed by anyone, like do any campaigning outside of just videos of James Tallarico doing like AI videos, not doing weird shit. Which
It's almost like scrolling through like your like 75-year-old grandmother's like Facebook page.
did you see the one they posted a video of James Tallarico rubbing nacho cheese sauce all over himself, and it said James Tallarico is weird. And I was thinking, it seems a lot weirder to make an AI
Came
video.
up with that ad is weirder.
Yeah, we're gonna AI video somebody rubbing nacho cheese sauce on themselves, and that makes them weird. I Hey, maybe it works in Texas, man. I don't know. I don't I
Now,
don't know.
Trump was not the only person that weighed in on his opinion of Platner. There was also Hunter Biden who was on Gavin Newsom's podcast,
Hunter Biden has weighed in
where he was
on every situation in the past couple weeks. This guy's been all over the everything app X.
he was they were talking about the allegations about his treatment of his ex-girlfriend and his tattoo of a symbol being associated to Nazis.
Yep.
And Hunter is that he suggested that most Americans would fail a show me your phone test of their past behaviors. And then went on to say, if that's the standard by which we are going to judge people, particularly people in elected office, then I don't think we're going to have many people in elected office.
Dude. And you know what? I think he's right. I think that I mean, dude, people should okay. This is going to be a question that I pose to you because I've always been a guy who has said elected officials should be held to a higher standard. However,
Right.
as I get older and as I look at the world, I'm like, hey, man, sometimes who cares?
It depends on how serious it is. I think that it depends situation by situation.
I agree. I agree that you can make your own judgments from time to time because if you look at Graham Platner on paper, every time that I'm like, man, I love Graham Platner to some of my friends and my talking about elections as I do nonstop. Every time you get a sip of liquor in me, I'm gonna start talking about elections.
There
So
we go.
every time I start describing Graham Platner to people, I'm like, okay, yeah, he was a Marine. They like that, and then I'm like, he got a Nazi tattoo while he was deployed, and that's a pretty tough one to sell people on. And then
I will say he got it covered up. That's what you tell him.
yeah,
He got it covered up and he apologized
he
for it.
did. Well, he did have it for like 20 years, so that's you got to kind of. But hey, yeah, he had it covered up. Actually, new story just came out about an ex girlfriend. He's been claiming that he didn't know what it meant until he was running. His ex girlfriend, who was his second ex girlfriend, who just got paid to do a story by a major paper, said he did know what it meant, but he kept it as a reminder that America was the bad guys overseas, which he should have said that from the beginning because that's a way cooler explanation. I kept my Nazi tattoo because I felt like I was a Nazi for going to Afghanistan. Sick explanation. Maybe doesn't sell as well with people that aren't me, but I like that explanation. That made me like Graham Platner more, which I'm gonna be honest with you, many stories do.
I want to know what he covered it up with.
Oh, it's like a unicorn kind of like horse thing. You can look at it.
Oh,
So, he's got a little. He dropped a video of it. he, he might have done like a there's like what's the TLC show where they go and get their cover ups of like bad tattoos. He might have done. I think he did like a YouTube video.
oh, dude, what was the name of that show?
I don't know. Bad Ink. I think that's what it's called. Um,
Oh, Tattoo Nightmares. That's what it
yeah,
was.
yeah, he did like a tattoo nightmare style YouTube video. I think of him getting covered up after. What are some? Oh yeah, he had a bunch of Reddit stuff leaked where he was like, "I hate women and black people." I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah,
he was complaining about like,
the derogatory comments about women, a homophobic and racist language, and promoting violent political action. Which,
yeah,
listen, I'm all for some violent political action. It just depends on what you're
right. Well,
acting against.
he also said that he was a communist, which got him in trouble too. But he's been hit with scandal after scandal after scandal, and you can look at it and you can be like, okay, is Graham Platner's Nazi tattoo as bad as Donald Trump saying that he's grabbing women by the pussy and he's got all these felonies? And I would say, nah, probably not. He's pretty sick.
Oh
That's
yeah, probably. No, I think that's definitely. I think that Donald Trump saying that was definitely worse.
well, hey, but he says that Graham Platner's the worst guy to ever run for office. So
Oh, he don't own a mirror. There's no mirrors in the White House.
he doesn't need mirrors, Brandon, because he's got enough pictures of himself. If you get enough portraits painted of yourself that everywhere you look, see, maybe not the most accurate rendition of yourself, but a rendition of yourself looking back at you. What's the point of having a mirror?
Said he did apologize for those statements,
Oh,
though, citing his struggles with PTSD and heavy drinking following his combat tours, which in a former army men, former military members, veterans, many such cases.
yeah, many. And most of the time they actually do stuff. So he was just talking about it, which I think is better. To, he didn't go
And
and
then here's my thing. The thing that I love about Graham Platner and all of these situations that's been brought up is
yeah,
there has been someone to tell him to just deny it. He's not a denier of it. He's like, yeah, I did that.
yeah,
I'm gonna own up to it.
yeah. No, he's not like
It's like,
he's not giving the classic politician thing, which is my opponents are making up stuff. He's like, yeah, yeah, I did that. That was bad. Hand up.
like here, the reports revealed that early in his marriage in 2023, he exchanged sexually explicit text messages with other women,
Yeah,
and he said that his wife stated that the issue was resolved through marriage counseling. So he's not denying that any of this happened. He's just saying, hey, that happened. I've grown from it.
yeah, and
We fit.
they didn't even have the text messages in that situation, so he didn't have like that one. He could have just denied, but he didn't. He got out there, got in front of it, and said, "Hey, my bad." And you know what?
I like a guy that I can believe.
Yeah,
I can trust him. I can trust that what he says, he's going to tell the truth about.
well, Brandon, here's something that I wanna ask you about. There's been a lot of discourse, I would say. Elected one of my favorite guys who's won an election recently, Chris Robb. He just won a Democratic primary for a House seat in Pennsylvania. He's probably going to be in the House of Representatives. And he brought up in an interview that he thought that Graham Platner carried a lot of similarities to one John Fetterman. Do you see Graham Platner becoming John Fetterman once he gets
No, I don't think so at all. I don't listen. I think it's because there's actually like a track record of Graham Platner, and because the big knock that was on John Fetterman was the whole entire thing of like him not having a job outside of political office, was it not?
Yeah. Well, he had been a mayor.
Was like this guy Graham Platner's a business owner, oysterman. I think that he former Marine. He's done things that are at least like not really like honorable, but like you can say, you know what, that's stuff that I guess good people do.
Well, here's the thing that makes me think so makes me not think that with Graham Plattner is that you can see his views change. Like he was on Reddit, man. He was posting through it. You got a trail of his views changing that is public that we can see. We can see him becoming like more and more left wing over time and like developing his new opinions and new thoughts on the world. I think a lot of it is like he's just got a lot of elitist criticism, which I think comes from being a northeastern politician. He doesn't have a college degree. He dropped out of George Washington University, I believe. Um, he comes from a wealthy family. He went to boarding school. His granddad was like a world renowned architect. His dad was a lawyer, and people were like, "Okay, dude, you're not really about it." I just think Graham Plattner's the real deal. I think he might step into Congress, and I think he might be further left than Bernie Sanders on a lot of things. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this guy might be the new voice of the American left, and I think it's needed. A 40-year-old northeastern guy like gruff, really great speaking voice. It's awesome to hear him talk. Good looking guy. I'm a Graham Plattner fan.
Yeah,
It,
I'm a big fan of him. I was
it,
about to say, I think that he has a bright future
he
with it.
probably
Well, I don't.
and can bench more than anybody else in the Senate, which is big.
I think this is going to get tough on the national level, maybe because I don't think as I don't want to say as a society because that's an old played out thing,
As a society,
but
we live in a society where
I don't think we're in a time to where someone like Bernie Sanders would have been a really, really great presidential candidate and a guy that probably could have had a really good chance if he was running in probably 15 to 20 years after when he ran. But I don't think that the American people right now
in years.
are comfortable going far enough left to where him and Bernie Sanders
I don't know.
are.
I think if Bernie ran his 2016 campaign in 2028, I think it would be successful. You know,
I would
if if
love.
if there was if Bernie was 12 years younger, we'll say, and he didn't run in 2016, and he runs his exact same campaign where he's talking about being anti-billionaire after the Epstein stuff, I think that plays way better today than it did in 2016 when that was really not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that has really helped something. I think the economy being much worse today than it was in 2016. The economy was doing amazing. You know, like the economy was in a completely different spot in that first Bernie campaign than it is today. 8 years of the Obama had completely rebuilt the economy after 2008, and things were looking great. And in that 2016 election, and I think that really did not help Bernie. That people were doing well in the economy, how it was set up, that they didn't want to have massive reforms. And I think today we've seen a decade of failures on like we since COVID, the economy has just been people have hated how the economy is doing every month over month. I don't think it's been people were like, yeah, the economy's doing good for me. I don't think there's been a single month that where people have enjoyed it since COVID happened.
No.
It's been 8 years now of the economy not working. There's been people are getting more and more sick of billionaires. Elon Musk has been increasingly AI has been growing and being completely rejected by a lot of American people. I think that Graham Plattner and maybe not in 28. I think 28 will be too soon, and that
No.
he's been asked about it in interviews because people he's been kind of like drafted by the left as like the if like AOC is like the left person, but she doesn't. I don't know if she has the it factor. That's my problem. She's too online. She's like left wing JD Vance kind of in my opinion. Like I see a lot of similarities in AOC and JD Vance in their posting style and how they talk about. I just think they both talk in kind of like loser ish tones, which I don't see in Graham Platter. I think that plays much better in a national election. And I think that in a 2032 and a 2036, I think Graham Plattner is a real contender if he survives this, which I think he will. I think he's going to win this one by 5 or 6 points. Not be too difficult for him to win in Maine. But if he wins it, I think he becomes a national player quite quickly. I just think that he plays very well to a large audience of people.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if he tried to make a 2032
Yeah,
run.
yeah. I mean, his term will be ended in 2032 if you don't want to run for re-election. That could be good. Mehdi Hassan asked him about a 28 run when he interviewed him. uh, and he denied it. He said he can't do 28. He's going to represent the people. He didn't even say he was going to. He said he was not even going to run for president. He says he's going to represent the people of Maine, which everybody says they're not running for president until they do.
Which, yeah, my only thing with him running in 2032 is I also think 2032 might be when Mom Donnie tries to run.
Well, Mom Donnie can't
And I'm
run. Mom Donnie not born in America.
oh, well,
Yeah,
okay.
Mom
My bad on that one.
Donnie is Ugandan born. He cannot run for president. That is he can be a senator, he can be governor of New York, but he will never be he cannot run for president currently unless there's a constitutional amendment allowing it. Which
All right, that was
has been
news to me.
proposed, has been spoken about. Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's called the Arnold Amendment. There has been a thing that if you live here from like a kid, you can run, but it's never been passed. And under the current
All right.
requirements of the Constitution, you have to be born in America to run. So we're going to move on from a big winner, Graham Platner, someone who overcame scandal after scandal after scandal, who fought through the establishment in his party. Chuck Schumer endorsed Janet Mills early on in this election. Janet Mills had a lot of the mainstream Democratic Party behind her, while Graham Platner played more to the outsider role. We saw someone who tried to play both sides, tried to be an outsider and tried to have the mainstream support. Nancy Mace down in South Carolina running for governor, leaving her spot in the House of Representatives to go try to be governor of South Carolina. And she had been party to, if not the direct cause of, scandal after scandal after scandal during her time in the House. I would say maybe more than Graham Platner. I mean, she's had more time to get into it, but she's fought with Donald Trump over the Epstein files. She's fought with Lindsey Graham over going to war with Iran. She's fought with Sarah McBride, the transgender congresswoman from Connecticut, over using the women's bathroom very publicly. She's fought with just about everybody that you can fight, like her and Ilhan Omar. She's got, just constantly, just brutally racist Ilhan Omar over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah, and then you got Lauren Boebert. Well, they did. I don't think they really went at it,
Yeah,
but I mean,
no, I
they did
think
have
Boebert is
kind of a back and forth with each other.
what's her and Boebert getting to it about? There's too much stuff to.
I already know in November 2021, it says Mace criticized fellow Republican Congressman Lauren Boebert for her anti-Muslim comments about Ilhan Omar. So she did a complete 180 on that one.
Dude, woke 1.0 is crazy. 2021, George Floyd riots are going crazy, and Nancy Mace is telling Lauren Boebert to be less racist. What a beautiful political world we live in sometimes. That's hilarious. I did not know about that. Yeah. So apparently she's she's been through every change you can go through in the political landscape. And she launched a governor's campaign, and I figured she was going to do pretty well based on her like general pop. Like Nancy Mace is one of the bigger names in the House of Representatives. She was, and now I didn't see her. I guess she was like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, where me and Brandon both reside in the Marjorie Taylor Greene district, and we knew that Marjorie Taylor Greene, despite her name in Congress, was not really a threat to hold major office in the state of Georgia because everybody else thought that she was for lack
A
of a
lunatic,
term,
kind of out there.
yeah, I was going to say retarded, but I was trying to find a better term. Um,
Oh, that's offensive to retarded people.
yeah, it was a tough time to be. And Nancy Mace seemed to have suffered from the same issue going to a statewide election where I'm going to read off these names that came in front of her in this primary. Pamela Yvette, the Trump endorsed candidate, comes in first with 28.9%. The second Trump supported Alan Wilson comes in 26.1% of the vote. That was for the Trump voters who didn't want to vote for a woman. Ralph Norman comes in third, 17.1% of the vote. Endorsed by Nikki Haley, endorsed by former Trump chief of staff, who I can't remember his name right now. One of the relevant ones, the last one, that, yeah. Another useless, a moderate Republican. If you wanted to be anti-Trump, which we can see the anti-Trump Republican vote is about 17% of the Republican Party, I believe. There's not many of them left. Then in fourth place, we have Rom Reddy, which I don't think is a fake name. And I don't know what he believed in anything, and I don't think anyone knows who he is. And then behind this irrelevant guy who nobody knows who is comes in one bean lover, Nancy Mace, 12.1% of the vote in the state of South Carolina. It's just impressive when you see, fifth place, kind of like her good friend Riley Gaines, has been a joke that a lot of people are saying. I wanted to throw that one in there. Shout out to Riley Gaines. We're big Riley Gaines supporters on this podcast. And Nancy Mace failed on every single level that you can fail on politically in South Carolina. Brandon, do the autopsy. What do you think went wrong here? What's happening to these Republicans who say the Epstein files matter, but then they will immediately vote against anyone who supports releasing the Epstein files?
So 3 of the 4 Republicans that voted to try and get the Epstein files released
Yep.
have been up for re-election.
Mhm.
And
Well, you know who the fourth one is,
all
Brandon? It's Marjorie Taylor Greene, who resigned. So all four are gone now.
so yeah, I think that was a big mistake. I think that now this is a clear cut I guess trying to think of the word for it. It's a clear cut. You can point at them saying that Epstein files needed to be released and going against Donald Trump on things,
Yep.
and that be the ultimate factor in, okay, well then you're not gonna have a place in the Republican Party. I think that's the message that it sends. You aren't gonna have a place in the Republican Party if you're going to be against Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, and let me just say a big fuck you to Theo Vaughn, to Joe Rogan, to all these fucking stupid Republicans. Not even these guys who claim to be independents and have fucking JD Vance and Donald Trump on your podcast, yucking it up, talking about, oh, we need to release the Epstein files. That's the number one thing for me. And then the second the second any Republican says we're going to release the Epstein files, gone from Congress. And you know what they'll not you know what Joe Rogan's not going to do? Joe Rogan's not going to be like, man, Donald Trump really doesn't care about the Epstein files. He's not going to say shit on his fucking podcast about it now. This guy, I fucking hate Joe Rogan. Sorry, that was a side rant, but these pussies, dude. Like, you went on here and you were like, we these pedophiles are running Washington. All right. And we got to expose who these pedophiles are. And you were talking to fucking chief pedophile, laughing it up with him, endorsing him in the election. And now that it's gone, and now that it's not happening, the Epstein files aren't getting released. And you were like, this is my number one thing. This is the only thing I care about is getting rid of these pedophiles. You just sit there on your hands and are like, oh, I didn't vote for, I didn't know what was going on. You didn't know that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were connected in 2024. Like, that's the dumbest fucking excuse you could give me. Uh, Shout out
Just
Nancy.
wearing the blinders at that point.
I mean, people.
You want to, at that point, is you just don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there might be one person that was just too dumb to know. I think sometimes I do think Theo Vaughn might just be that dumb. But
I'm gonna be honest with you, I could see it. I could see
yeah,
Theo Vaughn just not being as in depth with the political world
I don't know.
as
Don't endorse anybody, dude. I mean, what the fuck are you talking to Donald Trump for if you don't know shit? That's what I don't. People are like, you got to talk to the president. You got to have some respect for the dude. No, you fucking don't. All right, fuck the president. Fuck
I
you.
will say, whoever this Green Party candidate is here for the South Carolina gubernatorial, this the Green Party guy. I don't want to mess up his name. Is it Waleed and Hakeem? That's
Okay.
this
I,
man has some of the most gorgeous hair I've ever seen on an individual in my life.
good for him, man. You do love to hear that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like a Green Party candidate. This isn't going to be another unrelated to Nancy Mace who we were talking about, but there was a recent election in California, a pretty major. Well, they had all their elections, but I'm going to just focus on their governor one because I want to talk about it a little bit here. Sorry, Brandon, I didn't tell you to do any research on this one, but I'll give you a breakdown on it.
You're all
One
right.
Javier Becerra, the former, he was a Biden cabinet member. He ended up coming in first. He's going to a runoff with a Republican. The Republican candidate for governor in California is a bald British guy. So I don't think he's going to do very well. Steve Hilton is his name. Fuck him too. He's not going to do very well. But the third place candidate in this election was Tom Steyer. and he's going to finish up, I think, about 2% behind Steve Hilton. It could have been the way that California's elections are set up. The top two people advance to the general election, not based on party. So you can have two
Gotcha.
Democrats, you can have two Republicans. It's just whoever the top two vote getters are in the first round of voting. And Tom Steyer very nearly got into the top two, and it was going to be a Democrat versus a Democrat. Okay, Becerra is like a classic, Joe Biden corporate Democrat. He's got Chevron, Uber, all the major corporations that are in California have given this guy a bunch of money. And Steyer is a billionaire himself, so he was the more progressive option, but he got people are like, I can't vote for a billionaire. I got to vote for Becerra because even though he's less progressive, he's not a billionaire. Which I don't know. You vote based on policy, man. You got to stop worrying about these identity politics. That's a big issue with the Democratic Party, man. Everybody's worried about identity. There's never been a Latino governor in California. You can't have a billionaire be the governor of California. Well, guys, he's going to be a better governor. So that's
He's a
kind of what.
good governor, though. I don't
Yeah,
think he cares.
that's
I'll be
kind of
honest with you.
I mean, if we want things to go good, we should probably just vote based on that. But where was I going with this? Oh, yes. You mentioned a Green Party candidate. So, a large problem that Steyer had is there were about 18 progressive candidates running to the left of Javier Becerra. And so Steyer had to deal with Matt Mahan, with Katie Porter, with a Green Party candidate by the name of Butch Ware, who ended up, I don't know how many, he got like 2% of the vote, I think. But California is one of the easiest states to get ballot access in, okay? It's probably much easier than South Carolina, where a Green Party candidate was able to get on the ballot for governor. The Green Party candidate for governor in California, where they had their most support, was not able to get on a ballot that featured a man by the name of Barack D. Obama Shaw, who was trying to trick people into thinking he was Barack Obama. That was his plan to get elected governor. There were 61 candidates on the ballot, and the Green Party could not get their candidate on the ballot, and he still got 3% of the vote, and he still fucked over Tom Steyer. So, fuck the Green Party, except for this guy in South Carolina with this cool hair. Shout out to him. That's all I had to say. Back to Nancy Mace now, who did not get fucked over by a candidate running to her right. She was more fucked over by herself, by her. I mean, probably by Donald Trump more than herself, really, but by herself. We'll say she was just had a massive nose for scandal while she was in office. Everywhere she went, scandal followed her. Brandon, do you have some of the scandals written down here? You got the main ones off the top of your head or something?
Not right. I think there was the thing with the airport, was it not? I
Well,
forget the
yeah,
name of the company for that one.
she was beefing with airport security for a long period of time. She had to get Lindsey Graham in to mediate her beef with I don't remember what the airport security company was. I don't know if it was T. I don't know who she was beefing with exactly. She was beefing with somebody at the Columbia airport, and they were not giving her congressional privilege to get on the flight to Washington D.C. really easily. And so, they had to step in. She's fought with Ilhan Omar. She's fought with I've already said all this, haven't I? Never mind. I already gave a rundown of her
Okay.
scandals. Why am I trying to do another one?
Okay, it was the arrest of James McIntyre. That was the big one that I was looking at. Where she okay, so James McIntyre, he's a guy that's a foster youth activist and a children's advocate. And she met him, gave a handshake, what seemed like a normal handshake, turned absolutely dire from her point of view because McIntyre was subsequently arrested by U.S. Capitol Police on charges of assaulting a government official and was jailed overnight. It said in court documents, Mace stated that McIntyre began to aggressively and in an exaggerated manner shake her arm up and down in a handshaking motion, with her arm flailing for about 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah, she's a legit crazy person, and sometimes Congress does need some legit crazy people.
Like this was the equivalent of you just kind of like getting into a little bit of a fender bender with somebody, and then them trying to claim that it hurt their neck just to get the
Well,
insurance money.
and Nancy Mace is for sure a person who would do so. Um, what I am worried about now is with these Republicans, being replaced that are the opposition to Trump. What will the Republican Party look like after Donald Trump is because these people that are replaced, like the guy who just replaced Thomas Massey up in Kentucky, Ed Gallrain is his name. And the Nancy Mace, ends up winning Nancy Mace's seat over here. What is the Republican Party going to look like after Donald Trump is gone? These people are completely and totally loyal to Donald Trump, but Donald Trump will not be president in 2 years. He doesn't have more than 2 years left on his term now.
Like at
So,
half of their term, the guy that they're a big supporter of, it just isn't going to be there.
well, they're only serving 2 year terms,
Oh
but I'm
well,
saying that they're probably going to win.
gotcha.
They're probably going to win I mean, these Senate candidates, I guess. If you people are talking about a primary challenge to Senate Majority Leader John Toon over not passing the Save America Act. I doubt that one goes very well, but there are whispers of it. You ever seen one Scott Pressler, Brandon?
I have not.
There's a man by the name of Scott Pressler who is a Republican media personality on X, the Everything app. He has long hair. He does. I don't know if he's transgender, but he not to
Gives off a vibe of it.
yeah, not to transvestigate Scott, but he does not really look like he was maybe assigned male at birth. Uh,
Right.
uh, it looks yeah. And he has been a vocal advocate for getting John Toon out of the Senate. Maybe there does end up being a real Senate challenge to John Toon. Probably not. And this is the stuff that's been taking over the Republican Party. If you are not, doing everything in your power every second of every day to completely satisfy Donald Trump or the Twitter voter base that Donald Trump has cultivated over time, you are in serious trouble because somehow, well, I don't know. I'm not going to say somehow, some way. I know exactly how they have money. His name is Elon Musk. Twitter users on the Republican.
First trillionaire, by the way. I
Yeah,
was about to
yeah,
say just that came out today.
yeah. The first is given Twitter users an immense amount of power in the Republican Party, and these people are insane, but they can maybe even more insane than Nancy Mace. I'll say it. Nancy Mace, though, one of the foremost Twitter. This is a bigger problem than Nancy Mace, though.
I think a lot of social media conservative like talking point or talking like people like that.
Mhm.
I think half of them are just putting on a show.
Oh,
I don't think anybody particularly thinks that they believe a lot of the stuff that they say.
well,
I think that we those people just fall in love with attention,
mhm.
and that's where they know they'll get attention at.
I mean, it's kind of a completely like Elon Musk era problem too. Like there was none of that before Elon Musk had bought Twitter and was starting to pay verified people for their tweets. This is a new thing that I think that he's kind of created and like is his bigger idea is to want there to be these right wing conservative people who can go out and give marching orders to the army. And we saw it like this week earlier in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Well, there is no such thing as Northern Belfast in the north of Ireland. Sorry, let me correct myself real quick. Where we saw people go and burning down people's houses who they thought were immigrants, who they to go out and commit acts of violence on people on expected or suspected immigrants. And it's marching orders from Elon Musk. It's the right wing media circus is becoming. It's a completely self sustaining ecological system. Elon Musk pays them to produce the content that he wants to see, and he benefits from it because as Twitter becomes more influential and you can see more like he gets to keep himself in the news. SpaceX's stock market prices becomes bigger news than it would have been because there's people endlessly talking about it because he's paying them to. Like he's boosting that content, and it's a cycle that is just weird and self-serving and dangerous probably in our media landscape today.
Well, we had people like this. The two that come to mind
Mm.
is I think was it Terrence Williams? Yeah, Terrence Williams. He was a black conservative that had the talking points. Seen him all over Facebook right after Trump won. Don't really see too much of them now. And then there was the whole
Who
Caitlyn
knows what that
Bennett
is?
girl.
You said Caitlyn Jenner?
Oh, Caitlyn Bennett.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Caleb. I mean, Yeah, that's El Clasico style Twitter.
Like,
Yeah,
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 those were pre Musk taking over Twitter, but I mean, I think that Musk taking over Twitter has made it exponentially worse, though.
yeah. It's given rise to like I would never know who Scott Pressler was 5 years ago. I would never know who freaking what's some other names that I know from Twitter. End wokeness on Twitter. What a massive account. Like these people are just huge. Everything that they tweet out is on the front. But I'm not even a conservative, man. Why do I got to see everything that they put on there? Like it's the most plastered all over everything. It's sensationalist. It's reactionary. They're doing everything in their power to just get as many eyes as they can on them. And it was the Nancy Mace strategy of running for office, and it doesn't work in real life. Like you get 10% of people who think that you think that you're infallible, and then the rest of the world whose brains kind of work properly, they're not gonna you're not gonna be in a position of power with just the main support from the Rob Schneider crowd. The Rob Schneider worshippers are like, dude, Rob Schneider is the world's best comedian. That's the 12% of people who voted for Nancy Mace.
But yeah, Nancy Mace winds up going in third place in her own district
Yeah, yeah.
in that race.
Just bad everywhere. I mean, there was nobody that was like, there was no geographical area that was like Nancy Mace territory, even where you would expect it to be. Like she underperformed everywhere from where I would have expected her to be. I mean, you could see, you could see it on the wall. Like there was polling done in this. I've said like way too many times. Sorry, self awareness there. Um, Nancy Mace suffered in every single district, completely based on her support for the Epstein files. I would say that's the only thing that she's broke with Donald Trump on, and Donald Trump ends up going and endorsing one of her opponents, and she has another opponent who was, I don't know why he was also a Trump supported, like not supported, not endorsed, but was the same difference. And now there's a runoff between two people that nobody's ever heard of for South Carolina governor. When there was Ralph Norman also was a big name in South Carolina politics, who got third in this race. He was a huge name in South Carolina politics. I'd heard about Ralph Norman a lot, and he was endorsed by Nikki Haley, presidential candidate, and doesn't even make it to the runoff. Doesn't make the top two. There's no anti-Trump sentiment in the Republican Party today. It's all who is the biggest Trump supporter. And Nancy
Well, I
Mace
think
tried to play into that lane. She lied on Twitter and said that Pamela Yvette was not Trump endorsed and posted a AI picture of her and Donald Trump together. And like it's just not working. Like there's there's no strat. The Republican voter base today is cattle. They're who does Donald Trump endorse? Okay, that's who I'm voting for. Like that's what it is. There's no
yeah.
real movement of anti-Trump sentiment.
So something that probably also lost her some of the Republican votes there was in the July 2022, she was among 47 Republican representatives who voted in favor of the Respect for Marriage Act.
I mean, she was
Was
pro gay.
that it protected existing same-sex marriage and interracial marriages
Oh,
under federal law.
she was pro gay marriage or she was anti gay marriage.
She was pro.
But she voted against the sanctity. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
Cool.
she voted in favor of it.
And oh wait, no, voted.
Voted in favor of it.
So
Yeah.
she was anti gay marriage because the
No,
Sanctity of Marriage Act would wait. Hold on.
yes, through the Respect for Marriage Act.
It would have recognized. Sorry, if you talk about respect in marriage, usually that's the conservative talking point for getting rid of gay marriage.
Yeah. She voted in favor of it, which would have protected existing same-sex and interracial marriages.
Interracial. They were trying to get rid of interracial marriage in 2022.
Hey. She later said, if gay couples want to be as happily or miserably married as straight couples, more power to them. Trust me, I've tried it more than once.
Oh, that is good response. Nancy, where was I going with this? I had a thought in my head for Nancy Mace. I don't know if they're. I mean, South Carolina famously has two gay senators, so I'm not sure how much they really care about that. Lindsey Graham, the most obviously gay man of all time, Tim Scott, Also pretty like Tim Scott's gay. Uh, I he did just recently get a wife. Did you see the Tim Scott recently married like in the last 3 years for the first time in his life after he got to the Senate. You know, you got to have a wife. Once you get there, you can't be Lindsey Graham. Too bad. Um, and she had I think a 19-year-old daughter, and he posted congratulations to my daughter for graduating college. When he I don't think has ever really lived with this daughter. It's his step like yeah, that would be your stepdaughter, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was taking credit for raising her in his Twitter post. It was a very funny thing to see. This daughter that he married it became his daughter when she was already an adult and already at college, and he was talking about how how good of a job he done done raising. I'm coming up with stuff now. That is a real post, but I don't I don't remember what he said. It was just a weird post. Shout out to both the South Carolina's gay senators. Ralph Norman potentially gay too. No facts to back that up, but I'm going with he probably is. Brandon, let's talk about the Congressional Baseball Game now. Give me some stats.
So if you go and look them up, you'll realize very quickly there's
Nobody.
not a whole lot of stats. There's
Well,
not a whole lot
nobody.
of stats to keep up with the game.
This is something we got to
But
remember for future congressional baseball games. Okay, we got to. What we got to do is we got to sit down. We got to watch these games. We got to hand keep the box scores so somebody has them because I need to know what like my congressman Clay Fuller. He was in the game. I don't know what he hit. There's no box score. There's no way for me to
yeah,
tell what his batting
I,
average was, and I think
so
we should
I
try.
will say I don't think he was in the actual batting lineup.
Well, everybody hits. Okay, they don't really do a lot. They don't do a 9-man lineup. Everybody they just go down the list.
Okay, I got
Kind
you.
of utter woke nonsense, I know, but you got to get everyone.
The end result of this is the Republicans winning over the Democrats for the sixth year in a row, winning this one 11-2
That might
back
have been,
on July 10th.
that might have been why we saw the Democratic starter. I'm blanking on the name right now, but the Democratic starter give up 11 runs.
Chris Deluzio.
Chris Deluzio, yeah, that might have been why we saw him give up 11 runs in the first 3 innings, is because he was facing the top of that Republican lineup, which was stout, and then they got down to the bums. Because you're not facing the 9-man lineup, you're facing the 30 person lineup. So you get past the first 15 batters, it might drop off a lot.
Which gave up all 11 runs in the first 4 innings of this. But can we just give a shout out to the Democratic bullpen not giving up a single run, though,
I mean, hey,
for the rest of the game?
you do like to see a 0 ERA from the bullpen. That's usually a type of stat that would that would make me think that you won the game. Unfortunately, though, ran into a buzzsaw on the other mound.
And then on to the other side for the Republicans, it was Greg Stoob starting for them. Winds up throwing a complete 9 inning game, over 100 pitches
And
into this one.
I heard he was touching
Only
26 in the first inning.
only gives up 2 runs.
Yep. I mean, you run into a complete and utter buzzsaw on the other mound. Complete game, 2 runs. I don't know how many hits because there's no box score. I'm gonna estimate about 5 hits probably if I had to bet on it.
Well, there's a lot of fielding errors by the Democratic defense. I
Well,
think that was a lot of what. And then good defense, I guess, over there by the Republican side of things.
that's right. Well, you could really see who was committed and who was not. Yeah, I was reading up on what the Republicans were doing to practice for this. I read a thing from a Arizona congressman who said they're up at 4:30 in the morning getting to practice, and I don't think you're seeing that same commitment for the Congressional Baseball Game from the Democrat side. They're too busy, getting a good night's sleep to go and do good legislation, while the Republicans don't really have to worry about that. They see what Donald Trump put on Twitter, and they have their legislative output for the day. Like they just gotta let's have a few staffers put out some tweets about whatever the talking point is for today, and we can go to baseball practice at 4 in the morning. Whereas the Democrats, there's no leader of the party. There's nobody to say, "Hey, this is what we're worried about right now." Where that's really hurting them in this Democratic. They haven't won a game since 2019 because there hasn't been a leader of the party since then. Joe Biden was never the leader of the party, and we're seeing it. We got to find somebody who can lead the Democratic Party, who can get us to a spot where the Congressional Baseball Game can be a focus for what they're doing out there. You
You're
disagree?
absolutely right there, Aiden. And moving over on, it was the thing that really stole the show though was the clip of Eric Schmidt.
Mm.
But who is it, Mr. Eric Schmidt representing?
He is the senator from Missouri.
He wound up winning the MVP of the game. Now I don't know his batting stats or anything like that, but he did have one of the most fantastic diving catches that I have
Mhm.
ever seen a 50-year-old make.
50 years old and comes up with a nosebleed after diving for a baseball. You can't. I don't know how many. I don't know if he can do that in the next game. He might have to take a couple years off
Oh,
after the.
dude, we need that kind of commitment from the Democrats over there on the
I
other
mean,
side.
yeah, that's exactly right. Nobody's going to be diving for a ball and spilling blood on the baseball diamond for the Democratic Party. And we need sycophantic belief in this. Like this is more important on Instagram and on TikTok than the Democrats realize. You got to really focus up on the Congressional Baseball Game. This can be a positive headline for you if you perform well. And we're not fighting for it at all. We're just giving it to the Republicans every year. And it's not going to get any better. Mark Teixeira is coming in for the Republicans next year. I can't imagine what the score is going to be. He's going to be. I mean, he'll probably just be hitting solo home runs, I guess. But I don't see a world where Mark Teixeira is not going yard 3 times in the game.
Especially not in this. Like,
Yeah, I
Mark
mean,
Teixeira is
Mark Teixeira against what'd you say the dude's name was? Chris Delozzi? Chris Delozzi
Deluzio.
Deluzio, yeah. Chris Deluzio is getting taken 450. He gave up 11 runs to some bums. Now he's got to play an MLB All Star.
Well, there's probably going to be a big roster. Do you think they go through and they say, you know what? We can't let you play since you're a former MLB guy.
No, they let him play, but he's probably only getting one at bat. He probably only gets one at bat. They'll probably have him stick over there at first. You gotta have Mark Teixeira at first base, I guess. But he can't have too much of an effect on the defense of the game at first. But he can go yard once, and it'll be a good clip. There hasn't been a home run in like 3 years in this game, so we love to see a home run because they're playing on a legit MLB. They're playing in a legit MLB stadium. It's actually 380 down the right field line or whatever it is, whatever the Nationals ballpark is called, which
Oh,
is
dude, yeah. I don't think there's anybody in any kind of political office right now that could.
hold on, somebody
But
has congressional. I'm gonna look this up. MLB Congressional Baseball home run. Talk and fill for time while I Google this.
let's see
Yeah,
here. Let's look at some people who could help.
run.
Who
Greg
did?
Greg Stube hit a home run. First pitch, 2021.
There we go.
Only been 3 in history. Ron Paul hit one over the fence in '79. John Shimkus hit one in '97, and Greg Stube in 2021. Greg
Ron
Stube
Paul
has been a two. Yeah, Ron Paul hit a over the
in
fence home run.
'79. Am I
Yeah,
thinking of the right Ron Paul?
you're thinking of the right Ron Paul. Yep, he was the one who ran for Republic. He was in Congress young. He would have been like in his late 30s, I think, in '79. So
Ah,
yeah, Ron Paul ran for president in '08.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. The same one and the same. I didn't think he would be. I kind of seems. I don't know. He might be a baseball guy, but Greg Stube, a little bit of a two-way star. One of the only 3 home runs in the game's history, and a complete game, two run performance in this one. A lot of talent on the mound. We might need to get Greg Stube like one of those Will Ferrell spring training videos.
See, I'd be very interested too in what a Senate baseball game would look like between the two teams.
Well, they have senators are allowed to play on the teams. Just this year, we only had 4 senators take the field. Schmidt being one of them. Schmidt, the senator from Missouri, Joni Ernst from Iowa took part, and the 2 Democratic senators were Ruben Gallego from Arizona and Padilla from California. Padilla from California.
There we go. We got to get some athletes in here, man.
I agree. Well, I would like to see John Fetterman take the batter's box.
That's what I'm saying.
6 foot. It could be like a little bit of an Aaron Judge out there. I think we're not. But what's he's too busy tweeting about Israel.
That's
And
the thing, dude. Senator wise, Democrats, we're just old.
we just
There's a lot of unathletic
senators,
guys here. Like they were probably athletic, but they were athletic 30 years ago.
yeah, it might have been one at one
Like
time.
John Ossoff and Cory Booker, maybe two of the when you look at them,
Well, Cory
the
Booker.
most physically like
Fun fact for you, Brandon. Cory Booker's 56.
Cory Booker is 56.
Yes, Cory Booker's 56.
Hold on.
He does not look like it. But it was shocking to me the other day. I was looking into old Cory Booker, and let me fact check myself really quickly. But I believe that
I thought Cory Booker was around maybe 40.
he is. Oh, he just turned 57. Actually, sorry.
Oh my gosh. We
Yeah,
need some young blood in the Democratic Party, Aiden.
Cory Booker. You think he's young? You think he's? You think, but he is a 57-year-old man,
Aiden, I've stumbled across perhaps one of the weirdest looking men I've ever seen in my life.
which is
That is Mr. Mark Kelly from Arizona.
astronaut.
He's an odd looking individual.
Being in space messed him up, dude.
Yeah, dude, we got to get younger on the Democratic side of this.
Yeah,
These are all old people.
I would have liked to see Ossoff put on a performance. I think that Ossoff could have a lot of potential on the baseball. I mean, maybe not. Maybe he knows better than I do, but
Maybe he could play a good like little shortstop.
I could see him being out there in center, a little bit of an Ender Inciarte vibe. You
I
know?
don't know if he's got the physical prowess. I don't know if he's able to. I don't know if he has the athletic ability, but
Dude, comparatively
in
to
his competition to everybody else, I
who's
would
gonna-
say
yeah.
I would
Well,
take him in a race if everybody in the Democratic senators all did a race with each other.
well,
I think Ossoff would.
we are getting some. There's going to be some new blood on the Democratic side. Colin Allred, former NFL player, is going to come back into the fold for the Democrats next year. He's probably going to win that election to get back into Congress this year. So I could see him being a big pickup. You just like to see. Now people say that being good at football doesn't translate to baseball, but we just need some athletes out there. We'll take what we can get.
And then, dude, that's where. Oh my gosh, that's where the Republicans have them beat.
It's just
It's,
young people.
the Republicans have some pretty young people in the Senate.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Democrats. Graham Platner, 41. We'll get him in there. I don't know.
Graham Platner on the mound next year, must see TV.
Oh, I didn't mention this earlier when we were talking about Platner, but you know who does hate Graham Platner? Who we had talked
Who
about? John Fetterman is a Graham Platner hater.
that made me love him even more.
The day after Graham Platner's primary win, uh, a reporter said that they walked into the congressional building and immediately John Fetterman approached them and started screaming, "You want to talk about P Hustle? You want to talk about P Hustle?" Which is Graham Platner's kick name. That he was using kick to sext women while he was married. And, and John Fetterman was saying, "You want to talk about P Hustle?"
Hold on, using kick.
He was using kick. Yeah, I know. Dude, he's 40. Yeah, he's not on Snapchat. He's an old guy. Is
Dude,
this?
why didn't Mark Wayne Mullen compete in this? Well, would he be technically eligible to
He's
compete
not
in
in
it?
Congress anymore. He's now the director of ICE
Well, okay, yeah.
or the Department of Homeland Security. I apologize. He's the director of the Department of Homeland Security. He's no longer eligible for the Congressional Baseball Game.
Rick Scott looks like an alien.
Rick Scott is one of the most evil men in America. Uh, all right, Brandon. I think that we have hit all of the notes that we wanted to hit today. Now we're about 15 minutes from kickoff of this World Cup game that I'm about to watch, about to tune into. I've been enjoying it tremendously. So to everyone out there, I'm going to bid you a wonderful evening. Goodbye, good night. Brandon, what do you want to say?
Boo Canada.
Boot Canada.
Boo Canada.
Oh, Boo Canada. Boo Canada.